3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Show Me Show podcast for episode 3. I'm Cam Milheiser with my co-host
Luke Newhouse.
And we've got another packed sports show today, featuring some Super Bowl parade, some Brian Flores finally jumping into that lawsuit.
Talk about that for a long time now.
Mm-hmm. And the NFL honors, and a few more things. Some of the NBA stuff, college basketball, and then introducing segments this week.
Introducing also a new microphone.
Yep.
Courtesy by Cam's mom.
Yep.
Kind of a gift here, I guess, but we're very grateful because it seems to sound better. It's set up a lot easier, and hopefully it'll just make the show better. So,
yes, indeed. That was pretty awesome what she did. So,
yeah, for sure.
All right, and we're just going to go ahead and jump right into the Super Bowl parade. Very funny to see that barely anybody showed up to the Los Angeles Super Bowl parade.
That's kind of like the entire season, though. No one really showed up except for celebrities, and they're not going to go.
Yeah, they're not going to go to the parade. The parade route was like what? Three-quarters of a mile or something like that.
Yeah, it was less than a mile.
Yeah, I don't know if they adjusted it or not, but I would assume not since nobody went, which kind of makes sense to make it short then, but it kind of just adds on to it being dumb and kind of funny that it was so short. Like I said, kind of smart since nobody actually showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Some takeaways from the parade, besides it being nobody there and very short. Aaron Donald and McVay aren't retiring from the looks of it.
Mm-mm. Well, I think the McVay one was a little bit weird because like he wasn't ever going to retire. He's still like the youngest coach in the league. But Donald, it sounded like he might for a second, but he still hasn't officially said he's running it back. But it sure sounded like he wants to. So
I saw something this morning that said, if they're all back, then I'm back. Talking about his teammates, which obviously after a Super Bowl run, as we've seen throughout history, it's hard to bring back everybody, but I'm sure he just means if you bring back the core, I'm coming back too. Let's get another one, which is very possible that they would be able to do so. Get another ring.
Yep, for sure, especially with that team that they have. They had every single piece that they needed plus a lot more.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, that team was literally built this offseason for a Super Bowl. And they kept building during the season. They're like, oh, Odell's available. Let's go get him.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually worked out perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Von Miller not coming back. He might be the only big piece, though, that will not be coming back. So,
yeah. In fact, I actually even saw that Odell said he's willing to give LA a discount for how much he likes Los Angeles right now.
Oh.
So they may have really won there. St. Louis would have done the parade way better. But maybe that's just our bias.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remember the Blues parade in 2019, the streets were freaking packed, and it was awesome.
That was for hockey too,
that was for
the Super Bowl.
So, granted, the Blues had never won it. St. Louis has actually always been a hockey town, but
they just suck.
Yeah,
until recently.
So that pretty much recaps the parade. Short, quick, and to the point.
A lot of drunk football players.
Yeah. Could hardly tell what some of them were even saying, which is very respectable. I think that's how it should be.
Yeah. Celebrate your win.
Yeah. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into something that we've been waiting to kind of jump into is the Brian Flores lawsuit and allegations. A little bit of a darker story with a little bit more light coming to it, actually, as of recently. We'll get to that. But here's what pretty much is all going on with that. Brian Flores is alleging a pattern of racist hiring practices by the league and racial discrimination through the hiring practice. So who's he all suing? He's suing the Broncos. John Elway came into his interview extremely hungover. Not exactly shocking. That guy literally always has liquor in his hands. Suing the Giants. They already gave the job to Brian Dable. but they still interviewed Flores, probably just for the Rooney Rule sake, and they kind of ran him through the process like a car wash. Bill, suing the Dolphins, even though he went 24 and 25 over 3 seasons with the Dolphins. But apparently, Stephen Ross offered $100,000 per loss one season. I don't know if he took it or not. I still think Flores is a decent coach, but they beat some really bad teams, to be fair, to the Dolphins management. And the record of 24 and 25 over 3 years isn't exactly spectacular. It's not even winning. And, did Flores even take the money if it was offered? No.
I would assume not, because he wouldn't be bringing this to public if he did take the money.
I agree with that. I think he would be done too if that's true.
Mhm.
Because if he did, Flores jail, Stephen Ross should have to sell the team if that's also true.
Mhm.
I love the NFL, but I would be lying to you if I told you this didn't bring a smile to my face a little bit, that the NFL is going through a big lawsuit right now just after the Super Bowl, after kind of what happened with the St. Louis situation. St. Louis had the opportunity to get a team, and they kind of sold a little early in their trial it was a big settlement. It was still like $750 million.
I think it was more than that. It was around $800 million, I think.
$800 million, but the fact that we could have possibly gotten a team makes me wish that we would have kept fighting. And a whole new unexpected rift to all this. The situation is Brian Flores. We were a little uncertain if he was even going to coach again in the NFL. Oh, boom. He was just hired by my Steelers to coach linebackers, which is exactly what he coached when he was with Bill Belichick and the Patriots. He coached linebackers, and he's also the Steelers' new senior defensive assistant. So he'll be right there with Tomlin. And maybe he can fix Devin Bush, who had a very bad season this year, and that would be pretty nice.
I didn't even know that Devin Bush had that bad of a season, but I thought the whole Steelers defense did good, but I guess not.
Yeah, well, he wasn't great, that's for sure. He played really good in his first season for about 5 or 6 games until he tore his ACL on a missed tackle. On turf, of course. That's also been a big controversy last week. Obviously, Odell Beckham in the Super Bowl tore his ACL on a no-contact play. Lots of ACL tears this year. I think it was 56 ACL tears on turf this season in the NFL. So that's also a whole different situation that people are trying to bring up. Well, maybe it's time. Obviously, they can afford it, that they can have all natural grass fields taken care of year-round instead of having turf that we keep seeing pattern of ACL tears.
Well, it's not just the NFL. As we all saw in the national championship game in college, Jamison Williams, one of the top receivers in this upcoming draft, also towards ACL on turf in Indianapolis. So, but if you really think about it, if you watch these wide receivers, when they make these juke moves and stuff, they are slamming their legs into the turf.
Yeah.
At full maximum force, just absolutely slamming it in there to make these cuts and comebacks and all that. And that cannot be good, because it's not like it's a solid ground. I mean, you're kind of sliding a little bit. So whenever you're slamming your legs as hard as you can into the turf and you're sliding a little bit, that's never good. So if they could get, the natural grass and the dirt, you would stop, boom, much more cleaner, much less injuries. I think it'd be kind of fun to watch too, to see the quicker movements and stoppage and stuff. So I think, like you said, they can afford it. So I think they should definitely look into it.
Yeah. And like we said, they can definitely afford it. I think it would be cool to see all grass fields around the league again, kind of like the old days. I don't know how nice the fields would look anymore. Obviously, you can do a lot more with designs on turf than you can with grass, which I don't know if that's playing a factor, because, they do want to make the fields look super presentable and stuff. Especially in college football, I know with all the bowls, they make the fields look super pretty for the bowls. So I don't know if they'll ever even jump to all grass fields in college. I don't know if people can take care of all grass fields in college. It's not exactly the same moneymaker for all schools like it is for the NFL. But so back on to the Brian Flores.
Yeah, I got a little off topic there.
suing Broncos, Giants, and Dolphins. If
I think some of the charges, I think the ones against the Broncos were dropped.
You do? I haven't seen that, but
because the Broncos denied it, and the NFL like briefly looked into it, and they're like, "Yeah, there's nothing we can do to prove this."
Yeah.
So I think he dropped those. The Dolphins ones, in my opinion, are the most serious, though.
Mm-hmm.
Those are very real things that could have happened, and especially because the Dolphins were losing a lot in his first season at the beginning, and then they started to rally off some wins at the end. And the Dolphins did get a little angry, especially, I don't know if you remember that one game between the Dolphins and Bengals. It was like week 14 or something. It was super late in the year, and they both sucked. And they were in like a bloodbath going back and forth. And basically, they were competing for the number one pick. And the Bengals came all the way back. They had like a deficit of like 10 or something. They came back and tied it, sent it to overtime, and then the Dolphins ultimately won in overtime. Ended up costing them the number one pick. Bengals got it. They drafted Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that was a few years ago.
I do remember that game. It was like
yeah, that was his first season.
Yes.
Now I guess is that the season that is in speculation for the picks?
I would assume
money.
I would assume it is. It might be all three of them though, but I don't know why they would want to lose when they have such a young core like with Jalen Waddle and Tua. And
yeah, I don't think it took place.
And
I definitely don't think it took place this year. No. I think it was either his first or his second year, and probably just his first. Because if you have a horrible first year, unless you're like the Texans or something, the franchise will let you come back and try to let you establish yourself. If two of the three, like, because also the Giants, I don't know if it comes out that what they did was true as well, then I wonder if they're going to lose like picks or something, or just be fined massively, or if they're going to be like on probation with their hiring practices. I don't know how that would work, but that's pretty messed up as well.
Mm-hmm.
For it's not even just about the Rooney Rule. It's just messed up in general to interview somebody even though the job's not available anymore. And that goes for anything really in life, not just the NFL.
Yeah, I mean it's disgusting if that is true. Obviously Bill Belichick could have just been thinking they were going to hire him. He might not have known for sure, because that's where these allegations stem from, obviously. But if he did, like if he was alerted, which would seem kind of weird considering it's not his assistant that was hired, it was another assistant in the division. So I would think that would seem a little weird, but yeah, certainly very serious allegations. And I think this is only the beginning of what might happen, because I think a lot of these ownerships behind the scenes may be very unethical in their practices.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so
it's not just these three franchises. Obviously, with this case it is, but like you just said, I mean, it wouldn't shock anybody. I'm sure all these owners have a few skeletons in their closet, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
In terms of, things that they've done in the past. But just overall, the NFL could take a big hit in money. And I don't know if Brian Flores is suing for a settlement or what.
He said that it was not about the money.
Yeah, I
said it was about the change. Yeah,
I believe.
And I respect that. I respect that too,
Mm-hmm.
because some people are just money hungry, and so whenever you say that makes me think even more that these are true and this did happen, and he doesn't want it to happen anymore in the NFL for the integrity of the game, really.
Yeah,
and that is Roger Goodell's big thing. He wants to keep the integrity of the game. So if there's any truth to these allegations, I would imagine, unless Roger Goodell, is a hypocrite, which wouldn't surprise me either. But it wouldn't surprise me also if they laid down the hammer and were pretty serious with the punishments.
Yeah, in terms of serious with the punishments, in terms of the Dolphins, Stephen Ross should have to sell the team. That's against exactly what Luke was just saying, the integrity of the game of football. And he should have to sell the team if everything comes out that is true in a court of law. I saw – it's hard to even bring this up because I don't have it right in front of me. I saw that the lawyers and everything, the attorneys that the NFL are hiring, are pretty big name for the Flores investigation. Obviously, they're going to fight for their lives to try and not have to have another huge settlement and whatnot. So,
well, another thing about investigations, we don't actually have this written down, but it made me think about the Washington football team, now the Washington Commanders. They're hiring an internal person to look into the sexual assault allegations.
smart by Dan Snyder.
But how does that make sense? They hired someone to look into allegations against them. Does that seem fair or make sense?
No, it doesn't. But if that's
power move by Dan Snyder,
if that's even allowed, which it sounds like it is, this is the right move to do if you want to keep your team. So many people want Dan Snyder to sell the team. Like, everybody hates him.
Yeah,
so,
but at the same time, that would be like, let's say Donald Trump. He had many allegations against him when he was in the office. It'd be like him going, "Yeah, I'm going to hire Mike Pence, to look into these and see if I'm guilty." That's exactly what the situation is, and it just doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, and that different situation, but still the same in terms of looking into it and stuff. That's all I've really got on it. Lots more details to come. But like we just said, he was hired by the Steelers, which is actually a huge hire for the Steelers. He was great linebackers coach for the Patriots. He was their linebackers coach during their 2017 Super Bowl and some of their other runs when they had some great linebacker cores with Jamie Collins and Donta Hightower and Chandler Jones off the edge and whatnot. So I'm hoping that he can kind of fix our linebackers. They were almost all hurt this year, and we obviously lost Bud Dupree last offseason, so hopefully he can kind of shore up that spot for the Steelers because everything else is pretty much good. Obviously, T.J. Watt is also considered a linebacker, but he's more of a rushing and edge rusher linebacker, so a little bit different situation there. But if he can save Devin Bush, who tore his ACL, and nowadays everybody's like, well, ACL tears are different. You can rehab and come back pretty much the same as you were.
If you're a star player.
Yeah.
Like Odell, he's going to come back fine. But, if you're somebody like, I don't know, a third-string nickel cornerback and you tear your ACL, that's not guaranteed to come back.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean,
it depends on your status.
Kind of like from the physical standpoint in terms of science. They say that you can come back to pretty much how you were before.
Oh, yeah.
But I also think it kind of maybe depends on the person and, how bad it is. Because before, just in the past 10 to 15 years, ACL tears were pretty much, it could very much change your career. And it changed a lot of players' careers. And it wouldn't shock me if Devin Bush is another one where it really did kind of just change his career. He's a fast, athletic linebacker. And if he can't get back to the same athleticism and quickness and ability to just make plays, then obviously his career is going to be much different than what it would have been. As a fan, something that I just saw throughout the season, it's a lot of it just looks like he just doesn't really know, or he didn't watch enough film, or, he doesn't know what's coming and stuff like that. And he's missing tackles and whatnot. So some of it is fixable even from a non-physical standpoint, more of a mental standpoint, maybe even just getting in the film room more. I saw that's what Ryan Shazier even said to him a few days ago. But that's just something that you could see if you watch the games this year.
Yeah. Speaking of T.J. Watt and the Steelers' defense, you want to switch over to NFL honors here since we didn't talk about that last week?
Yeah, for sure. Keegan-Michael Key's out. Did you watch the honors?
No, I did not. I was pretty confident on every single one of these awards who was going to win, so it was always cool to watch it, though.
I always watch it because usually they have somebody pretty funny doing the awards. I remember one time Peyton Manning did it and roasted the hell out of Kevin Durant to just start the show pretty much, and it was awesome. But Keegan-Michael Key's great opening act. He had a song prepared, and a bunch of the NFL players were in on it, including Goodell. It was actually pretty hilarious. If you should watch it after this show. It was really funny.
I might have to do that.
Obviously, we'll just jump right into the awards. Finally, Defensive Player of the Year, T.J. Watt. Should have won it last year, too, in my opinion. He had the stats to do it. But But it was just like, finally, he even posted on his Twitter last year the Michael Jordan meme and I took it personally.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it personal, and he did, and he retweeted it once he won it, which was awesome to see. But yeah, he just deserved it. And he had 22 and a half sacks this year, which tied the record, and people even thought that one of them should have been another sack, so he should have had the record to himself. But they said, like, the guy stepped up in the pocket or whatever, and it didn't count.
Well, I mean, anytime you tie an NFL record on defense, that's pretty incredible. You should probably win Defensive Player of the Year, especially if it's the sack record. And it wasn't just that, but he was a game record. Like, even when he wasn't getting sacks, he had the Aaron Donald presence where he was drawing attention, he was getting pressures on the quarterback, and he was making impact every single play. It seemed like that he was out there. So, yeah, very deserved Defensive Player of the Year. He finally follows JJ, winning the obviously JJ won 3 of them, but that's got to be pretty cool to be up there on the same level as him.
Yeah, 4 of the last 10 are from the Watt family. So,
and the 3 of them are from Aaron Donald.
What? You mean from JJ?
No, I meant like you said 4 of the last 10, and like so then leave 6, and 3 of those last 6 are from Donald.
So three for Watt, 3 for Donald, and then 1 for Watt, and then for TJ, yeah, and then I guess 3 somewhere else. Also, like you just said, the game record thing, it just seemed like he was causing so many fumbles this year. And tipping the ball, I remember he tipped the ball in the playoffs, it got picked. It just seems like like you were just saying, complete, utter game record this year. More than last year, even, too. So that makes sense why, you finally got the award. Justin Tucker's kick won Moment of the Year for the 67-yard game-winning kick.
66 yards?
This one says 67. That was the record.
It's 66. I remember it specifically.
Look it up. Once again, brutal for Lions fans to have to just watch the kick go in again. But that was just a Tucker moment. Tucker wins Moment of the Year. The FedEx Ground and Air Players of the Year. Jonathan Taylor was the Ground Player of the Year, and Thomas Brady was your FedEx Air Player of the Year as he goes into retirement. Jamar Chase was Offensive Rookie of the Year. Pretty much that's who should have won it. Obviously, Jalen Waddle had a great rookie season.
66-yard field goal.
66-yard field goal. Parsons won Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was in the running also for Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, he unanimously won Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think we should mention, because that's an incredible – not one voter said that he should not be Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's how incredible he was compared to the rest of the other rookies. And, yeah, in consideration, I think he got 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Which is incredible for a rookie linebacker especially. Yeah. And what a season by him. He completely – people are going to say that Dan Quinn changed the Cowboys' defense because they were god-awful last year. I don't know if you remember that. They were awful. And Dan Quinn, I think he did. He came in, he brought a game plan, an established game plan. But the big difference in that Cowboys defense was Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
And Trayvon Diggs stepping up and creating turnovers. Those were the 2 biggest reasons, I think, why the Cowboys defense was changed. Obviously with Dan Quinn as well. But Micah Parsons completely changed that defense, and I think he will continue to keep doing that. And maybe Defensive Player of the Year in the future.
Yeah. And interesting thing to note, because I just said Jamar Chase, Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Parsons was Defensive Rookie of the Year. Both those guys sat out their last college season. And
due to COVID.
Yeah. Due to COVID, to just kind of get ready for the NFL, and they both come away with those huge awards. And Parsons also, the way he played, not only did he rack up over, I think, 11 and a half sacks, but he was just like a sideline to sideline player, and he was playing, in the nickel and playing pretty much a cornerback position at times. Not a cornerback, a safety position at times, the way he played. But, he was just making plays all over the field, and I think you can kind of see that on the film early in the year. And also if you watched HBO's Hard Knocks, you can kind of see he was a little bit different than the rest of them if you watch Hard Knocks this year. And so that doesn't really surprise me at all.
But, yeah, one thing you mentioned about him, he sat out his other year. He didn't just sit out like he did stuff to get ready for the NFL.
Obviously.
He put college in his past. Is this something that we may see? It's not being talked about really.
Mm-hmm.
But it probably should be, because not only did Parsons sit out, but Jamar Chase also sat out, and he won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And these are guys that they were high talented prospects coming out of college, but I don't think anyone expected them to be this good this quick, especially not Jamar Chase. At the beginning of the year, he was talked about being a bust, and he hadn't even played an NFL game yet. So that's something that I think we may see being talked about more often. Maybe the NFL switches to something like the NBA does, where maybe they let younger players get in earlier.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying, and I think these are kind of just some more unique cases because of the COVID thing. Personally, I don't think you're not going to see this very often because, one, like you just said, letting players come in early. People thought about that for Trevor Lawrence, but imagine if he came in after his rookie season or after his freshman season. I don't think he would even be ready. And he looked like the most ready quarterback in college that year. But 1 year after high school into the NFL, those kids just aren't ready physically, strength. They're just not ready. It's just such a big jump. And I don't think that's the reason why I don't think that rule is actually ever going to change.
That makes sense. But one thing, do you think maybe that you'll see more players opt out of a season? Kind of like college prospects, like they skip college and they go to the G League to help them get ready for the NBA. Do you think maybe we'll see like a lot of these college players maybe skip their last year in college, like if they're already top end prospects, obviously if they have to work their way up, but somebody like a Jamar Chase, who's a projected top 10 pick in the next year. Do you think we'll see maybe more players like him skip their final season and like go do NFL workouts and try to get NFL ready?
I think it depends. You're not going to see him do it right out of the gate. Like I just said, they're going to have to at least play their freshman year and their sophomore year. And if you're not even playing in your freshman season, like you're not playing that much at all, then you probably should also play your junior season. Now, obviously, Jamar Chase, he forewent his final season at LSU, but he had already had that incredible championship run where I think he scored 4 touchdowns against Oklahoma in the semifinal round. So everybody knew what you were kind of getting with him. Parsons, though, was a little bit different. His production, was good at Penn State, but it's not something that obviously NFL execs probably knew what they were getting, but as the average fan, I guess we really didn't. I think one thing that maybe we could see is I remember when the Battlehawks were in St. Louis, we had a safety from West Virginia on the team who forewent his senior season at West Virginia to play for the Battlehawks, and he got drafted and signed into the NFL. So, maybe with these upcoming leagues, the USFL and the XFL, and obviously we just saw with The Rock doing the thing at the Super Bowl, and they just announced it on Twitter today or yesterday that the XFL and the NFL are going to be partnering to see which rules work out best, which equipment works out best, and all that. So maybe we could see players foregoing their junior and senior seasons to go play in the XFL.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because that's a professional league with professional players. Obviously, it's not as big as the NFL.
Yeah,
but that's professional play with grown men on that field.
Yeah,
not kids. So that's an interesting point because you can still get drafted after that. I think.
You can as long as you're 3 years out of high school, then you're eligible to be drafted. So obviously we didn't have any of that kind of prepared, but that's just something that we were thinking about, just like
I didn't even think about that, but that was an interesting point.
Yeah. So maybe we'll see some more of that. Personally, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think anything is really going to beat 3 or 4 years at the college level preparing you for the NFL, as long as, obviously you have to avoid injuries, but that's with literally anything that you do. Guys get hurt practicing all the time. Guys get hurt training all the time, and guys get hurt playing all the time. So either way, as long as you stay healthy, you should be fine.
Oh, you want to finish off?
Yeah.
Okay, Coach Vrabel, Mike Vrabel, wins Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. He deserved it. the Titans very injured all year, and they had Ryan Tannehill at the quarterback. Somehow got them to the 1 seed. I think everyone was a little shocked to see the Titans at the 1 seed, but they had some big wins. They destroyed the Chiefs early on in the season. They beat the Bills on Monday Night Football. So they had some really quality wins all season. Very deserved. Obviously, Matt LaFleur probably deserved it too, but I'm not mad about that at all.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow wins Comeback Player of the Year over Dak Prescott. This one really could have gone either way. Cowboys fans are angry because Prescott, he had the ability to win. I mean, if he would have won, I think people would have, it's not that big of an award anyway.
But I
it's
think
still cool to get. Yeah.
It's still, I think the guys that are coming off those huge injuries, and Dak had a huge injury, like his ankle literally snapped. I think it kind of means a little bit more to them than it does any of these other awards, if you're coming off that injury. And they actually had a little bit of merit behind why they thought Dak should have been it, because he had Burrow had 150 more yards, but 3 less touchdowns and 4 more interceptions than Dak. So, and it's a regular season award, not a playoff award.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just looking at stats, then Dak actually had him beat a little bit. I think maybe some of the Cowboys' lulls in the middle of the season that we saw with their offense, probably why he didn't win it. But
I think also a lot of these voters have some recency bias, but they vote before the postseason. So, but even before the postseason, the Bengals went on a hot streak there at the end. And Joe Burrow was a huge part of that. He had some massive games, and I think that might have been stuck in their heads. And like I said, Joe Burrow blew out his knee. He tore his ACL, MCL, meniscus. He tore it all. So they both had very big injuries and really both impressive seasons. So I think, honestly, a co-award would have been fine here.
Yeah, I think I was just about to say the same thing. A co-award would have made just as much of sense, and they're both from different conferences, so that would make sense too. Moving on to the Walter Payton Man of the Year, the league's most prestigious award. Andrew Whitworth finally won it. And, something cool about this, they let him wear the patch in the Super Bowl because, he's probably going to retire. He's 41 years old.
He did retire.
He did retire
officially.
So there you go. He got to wear the patch, which is pretty cool. And it's just obviously that doesn't mean as much to him as much as winning the actual award, because it's such an important award to have, each team have a guy represent their team and represent their community and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Whitworth, he's been in the league for so long, and we forgot that we were talking about all the people that we were happy for winning the Super Bowl. We didn't mention Andrew Whitworth. That's another guy that's really, he spent an eternity in Cincinnati when they were bad and never got to win the playoff game. Obviously, went to LA a few years ago and won that playoff game, and he finally wins the Super Bowl. So that was really cool to see, especially with the Walter Payton Man of the Year. I did see the speech, though, that he gave, of the one Lions player that came up to him, and he was like, hey, you were at one of these camps or whatever, and you told us to never give up. And I remember that specifically, and now I'm in the league. And that was a really cool moment to see, Probably made him feel a little old, but
yeah,
he is.
He is old.
Isn't he the only non-quarterback to play in his 40s?
No, Jerry Rice was actually as well.
Jerry Rice. Okay.
Yeah. But
I thought
Andrew Whitworth, he's one of 3, I think. It was Jerry Rice, Andrew Whitworth, Tom Brady. And I think there may have been one of other players, so maybe 4. No.
Well, maybe comeback season.
Well, Roethlisberger looked over 40. Physically,
50.
Physically, he's 60 or 70.
Yeah.
But no, actually, he was not 40 this year.
Yeah, so that's incredible to see him, especially as an offensive lineman of all people. I mean, that is a hard position to play for that long. That just shows how determined he was to win that ring, and finally got it. So that was really cool.
Yeah. And then the big one, besides the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, MVP goes to Aaron Rodgers. Back-to-back awards for MVP, and he's a 4-time winner now, only trailing Peyton Manning, who won 5, I believe.
Well, 4.5. He did split one year with
Steve
McNair. Yeah, that was the very first one in 2003. Him and Steve McNair won co-MVP. So technically it counts as a full one, but I like to say 4.5.
4.5 rounds up to 5, though.
That's true. But
So,
if
just
Rodgers
saying.
happens to win another one,
Yeah,
I think
and he would
even
be
though he would technically tie Peyton Manning, I think he would actually be above him because he has 5 to himself,
that makes sense.
But, I don't know if we'll see him get back up to that level. I mean,
Kind of depends on where he goes,
Yeah.
maybe. If he stays, then I think he can play at that level,
Mhm.
but I highly doubt that they would give him the MVP 3 times in a row because the writers just don't seem to do stuff like that,
I don't
but
know if he has another
we'll
Tom
see.
Brady's not in the league anymore, so even though he may be
Yeah.
to the 49ers per literally everyone on Twitter, but
Yeah, but
don't
I
see
could
that.
see him giving it to some, like, media darling young QB who has, like,
Joe
a
Burrow?
great season like that, or Herbert or something like that.
Yeah.
Still very deserving. He played awesome. Rodgers is just so much fun to watch. We talked about this last time, so it's just not a big shock when he brings home that kind of hardware.
I wanna say one is that during the Super Bowl when Joe threw a touchdown pass, which was really cool that, the Cincy special, we talked about that a little bit, that we may see that. He did throw the touchdown and everyone was like, well, Joe Mixon has more Super Bowl touchdown passes in the last 10 years than Aaron Rodgers. Well, guess what? Aaron Rodgers has 4 more MVPs than anyone in the league, with the exception of a few people. But he has 3 more MVPs than anyone in the league in the past 10 years. So, greatest regular season player in history. Obviously, the postseason is not there, but as much as I would like it to be. But
Yeah.
obviously, greatest regular season player maybe in history.
Maybe, yeah, Dan Marino was also very, very good in the regular season, but
Well, yeah.
so I would say those 2 guys, probably the 2. It's kind of hard to judge, obviously, just by position too, because there are some running backs who were also very great during the regular seasons as well. AP, Barry Sanders, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So lots of great regular season players. But yeah, I mean, you're right. He's one of the greatest regular season players ever. Obviously, in terms of winning the Super Bowl or the playoffs and the Super Bowl is a little bit more important, but obviously the baseline of the NFL is the regular season. That's the longest stretch of games, and you got to be healthy for all that.
Especially now with them adding the 17th game and probably within the next few years adding an 18th game. It'll just continue to get longer and more impressive.
Yeah. Moving on, one last thing with the NFL honors. The Hall of Fame was announced. Leroy Butler, Bryant Young, Cliff Branch, Richard Seymour, Art McNally, Tony Boselli, who really deserved it. I'm glad he's finally in. Dick Vermeil, also finally in. The Rams, St. Louis Rams, Super Bowl winning head coach, and Ricky Jackson all got enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, or will be getting enshrined in August this year into the Pro Football
I'm going
Hall
to be
of Fame.
honest with you. With the exception of Dick Vermeil, I've never heard of any of them before.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard of
I haven't really been an NFL fan except for like the past 5 years. And I knew kind of what was going on like before then. Obviously Adrian Peterson was really cool back, Aaron Rodgers, those guys. I knew who they were, but these guys are way before my time, and it's not like they're big names like I don't know, Peyton Manning or somebody like
last
that.
year's class was like a super class with like Randy Moss and Peyton Manning, like Calvin Johnson the past few years.
Those guys
like
are
that.
obviously big names.
Everybody knows those guys. But these guys have been waiting to get in. I actually, interestingly enough, the reason why I know everybody on this list except Art McNally, but I'm pretty sure Art McNally was literally a referee, so that's why I don't know him. All these guys have been in Maddens and whatnot, and that's how I know all of these guys. And I know Richard Seymour and Tony Boselli because they played while we've been alive. I do remember them. Tony Boselli is one of the greatest tackles ever. And obviously I know Dick Vermeil, and you said you knew who that was because the Rams and their Super Bowl and stuff like that. And Ricky Jackson was an incredible linebacker for the Saints and stuff. So I know
one thing I do
well.
want to applaud the NFL on, and it's something that as a baseball fan really frustrates me, is the NFL always puts players in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, you'll see the MLB have seasons where they vote no one in.
Zero, zilch.
Or like this year, where we have plenty of Hall of Fame players on this ballot and only one got in, and David Ortiz. That is so infuriating to see these good players. Obviously, it is a Hall of Fame, but I think the MLB has crunched it to the Hall of Very Fame.
Yeah.
And obviously you'll see players, you're like, oh, they should be in the Hall of Very Good. But honestly, I think the MLB has micromanaged it so much that a lot of Hall of Famers that would have got in 50 years ago aren't going to get in anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing. The NBA does a really good job too.
Yeah.
Of putting players in.
Yeah. I'm fine with them putting in players into the NFL Hall of Fame and the NBA Hall of Fame and whatnot, or the Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm pretty sure it's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But
it's the football hall. It's the Pro Football Hall of Fame too.
Yeah. So some people think it's been watered down, like they're just letting everybody in. I don't. All the guys that get in are
really good players,
football players, and excellent basketball players. To where, maybe they're not as good as everybody in the hall, but they were still great during their time of play and their era, and I'm fine with it.
Well, that's why I'm glad that the MLB established like other committees, because the baseball writers are so stuck up that they won't vote anyone in. And so they've established more committees so that they get people that do deserve to be in. Tony Oliva got in, Jim Catt got in, Ted Simmons got in last year.
Finally.
Yeah. So a lot of these players that have Hall of Fame numbers and Hall of Fame careers and legacies, they don't, obviously Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens this year we saw, but that was for other reasons, not because of their play. They didn't get in either. So a lot of these guys that have Hall of Fame, it's so frustrating to see because, obviously Scott Rowland, he's a Hall of Fame player. He will probably get in because he's gaining votes, and he has like 5 more years left or something. But a player like Billy Wagner or Todd Helton, you probably don't know who those guys are, but they are really, really good players. Billy Wagner is one of the best relief pitchers of all time. Joe Nathan actually was a really good relief pitcher, and I don't know if he's quite a Hall of Famer, but he didn't even stay on the ballot this year. He didn't get enough votes for that. Todd Helton, his numbers are skewed because he played at Coors Field, but he is definitely a Hall of Famer, and I don't know if he's going to get in. It's going to be questionable. So it's really frustrating to see all these good players that probably do deserve to be in the Hall of Fame not get in. And that's one thing that I do applaud the NFL and the football writers of doing.
Yeah. I mean, I love watching some of the speeches every year during August for the Pro Football Enshrinement. Their stories, some of them are similar, but some of them are so different, and it's just always super fun to listen to them. But that wraps up the honors.
Yeah.
Want to bring us into your college basketball update, Luke?
Yes. I have. This is the most I've ever gotten into college basketball, and maybe because Arizona is so good this year.
Probably.
But, it's not even Arizona that I'm getting into. It's the rest of the league. Like, when you check the scores and stuff, before I would set it on top 25, so I'd get to see like the top teams in the nation. I set it on all conferences now. I enjoy seeing like Samford beat Furman in some Southern Conference action, or maybe seeing Belmont beat UT Martin, some Ohio Valley action. I love seeing. I've gotten really involved with the teams this year, and maybe they'll help me on my bracket. I don't usually fill out a very good bracket, but maybe this year's the year. But I've really gotten into it. It's been a lot of fun. I've watched probably more games this year than I ever have in my lifetime, and in one season. So, yeah, I mean, Arizona obviously moved up to number 2 in the rankings today. One Gonzaga loss away from moving up to number 1, which would be really, really sick. This is the first time we've been top 2 in the nation since the preseason rankings a few years ago when we had DeAndre Ayton, and we paid him to get here, allegedly paid him to get here.
Q is not charged.
Yeah. It was a Q who was not charged.
I agree with you. I'm starting to get back into it. Obviously football just ended. But yeah, I agree. I don't think I'm into, the Belmont, the Furman and stuff, but I like watching bubble games, like
Oklahoma and Kansas State.
Yeah, just games like where like I was watching SMU and Memphis yesterday. That's a very crucial game because both those teams are on the bubble, in terms of getting into the tournament. And, it just seems like
SMU destroyed Memphis in that game.
There's
Okay.
I don't know if they destroyed them, but, like, there's just a bunch of teams out there right now where, like, even though the tournament hasn't even started, it's almost like it started because there's so many games that are must-win for them, and North Carolina's in this boat. They have to pretty much win out in ACC play because they don't have a bunch of quad one wins. Their quad one wins linger all the time with Michigan always being up and down and stuff like that. And, they're always betting or they always need Oregon to slip, which they have been lately. But because of the Arizona State loss, and they just lost to Arizona. But
that was a close game, though.
Yeah, they played them close, so that doesn't really hurt them whatsoever. Because Oregon actually has been pretty solid this year, but
they're kind of like the Alabama of the Pac-12. Alabama has some wild. Obviously they beat Gonzaga in Spokane, which is something that hasn't been done in years. Then they have games. They lost to Memphis. They lost to. Hold on, let me look up because I know they have
Oregon.
No, I'm talking about Alabama now. Like they are like the peak inconsistency. Like
Nate Oates and And I think it's partially due to their play style. If the threes aren't hitting, then they're pretty much they're pretty much dead. So I think that has something to do with it.
Oh, they lost to a 6-20 currently Georgia team.
That's just SEC play right there. That's just the grind.
Georgia has 2 wins. Georgia has 2 wins in the SEC, and one of them is against Alabama, who beat Gonzaga in their home stadium, which is something that hasn't been done in a long time. They also lost to Mizzou, who is not very good either.
They can't beat Mizzou at home.
They lost to Iona, Rick Pitino, the Fighting Patinos.
The Gales.
Yeah. They have some wild losses. It's crazy. Oregon's kind of like that team, where they almost beat Arizona. They actually beat UCLA and USC both on the road in the same week earlier this year. And those are teams that are going to get. Excuse me. They're going to get 4 and 5 seeds. And they have losses where they just go into Arizona State.
Yeah, going to Tempe and get crushed.
Yeah, it's weird to see teams like that, but.
Some closer to home teams. Mizzou sucks. Back-to-back losses to Mississippi State. One home where they only lost by 2, and it was an incredible way to lose a game. And then they also got beat by like 20 on the road in Starkville. Nice little home and away series with Mississippi State. And then, like I just said, UNC is all over the bubble, up and down, all around. Another key game today against Louisville, but it's at home, and they've only lost 1 home game this year, so hopefully they can pull that one out.
They've lost more than 1 home game.
They
get beat by Pitt at home last week.
Okay, that's 2. Yeah, Pitt and Duke.
Yeah, Pitt was a bad loss.
That is what dragged them down because that's a quad 4 loss. Yeah, because Pittsburgh is that bad.
But well, really, most of the ACC sucks. But I think it's going to be fun to see the seedings. The committee actually released their, I don't know what you call it exactly. It's like
kind of reminds me of the college football playoff rankings top 25.
Yeah, it's like they start. It was the actual committee that makes the
tournament,
the Selection Sunday stuff. And they released the top 4 seeds. If the season would have ended on Saturday morning, those would have been the top 4 seeds in the tournament. So, obviously, Gonzaga, Auburn, Arizona, and Kansas got the 1 seeds. Trying to remember. I don't have it in front of me right now. But Baylor, Kentucky, yeah. They got 2 seeds. Hold on. You keep talking. I'll pull it up here.
Yeah. We had a little thing on predictions who might win, and you just mentioned Kentucky, and that's what I wrote down. I think they're poised for another deep run this year. They haven't really had one in a while, and I think it's Cal's turn to finally get back in the winning circle. Kentucky just looks good. I also think Duke is really good, damn good. As much as I hate to say it, but I think they usually choke, and they don't really have Paolo Banchero is really good, but he also has games where he has like 8 points.
Yeah,
and if you do that in a tournament, sometimes then you're just done. That's happened to Duke a couple of times. I'll never forget when Mercer beat them. made my whole year when that happened. And I always look, it would just be glorious if Coach K lost in like the first or second round in his last season.
Well, Duke they were a 2 seed, so obviously we said the 4-1 seeds. Baylor, Kentucky, Purdue, and Duke are 2 seeds, which I think Purdue was a borderline 1 seed, honestly. The 3 seeds were Villanova, Texas Tech, Tennessee, and Illinois.
Where do they have Providence?
4 seed.
4 seed.
Wisconsin,
okay.
UCLA, Providence, and Texas. All the 4 seeds.
Yeah. Pretty special season so far by Wisconsin. They, at the beginning of the year, people are like, okay, these guys are going to suck. And then, what's it, Johnny Davis? Is that his name?
Johnny Davis, yeah.
Yeah.
He might win Big Ten Player of the Year.
So, he's kind of carried them in sometimes, not always.
Another thing with Wisconsin is yesterday
involved
with a massive brawl, one of the biggest brawls I've seen ever.
In college basketball.
Yeah, in college basketball.
Especially as of late, because this stuff just doesn't really happen as much anymore, especially like big-time teams. Sometimes you'll see like littler schools get into it.
Like LIU, Brooklyn, and Wagner.
Yeah, or something weird like that they have their own little coded rivalry. But this was a big-time, all-out Donnybrook for a little bit. Some words were exchanged, keep your effing hands off of me. That's what Juwan Howard said to the Wisconsin assistant. Then boom.
Well, let's get a little backstory. So Wisconsin won the game 77-63. It wasn't a close game really at all. And with 15 seconds left, Wisconsin up by 15. Michigan full court presses them. And now there is only 15 seconds left, but Wisconsin calls a timeout despite being up by 15, to deal with the full court press. And at the end of the game, because there's 15 seconds left, so the time ran out, Juwan Howard and Greg Gard, Juwan Howard is Michigan's head coach, Greg Gard is Wisconsin's head coach. They went to shake hands, as all the coaches do after the games, and they exchanged some words. Juwan Howard was clearly upset about the timeout with 15 seconds. They exchanged some words. They actually started grabbing each other's shirts a little bit, and then the assistants and some of the players rushed in to separate them. And one of the assistants, I guess, pushed on Juwan Howard a little bit too hard, and Juwan Howard reached over the huddle and punched him right in the face.
Yeah, it was more like a very, very hard slap. Because he didn't clutch his fist when he hit him, but you can definitely say it was a face punch, but still
absolutely wild. Yeah,
it was
crazy scene.
And, it's gonna be interesting to see what Michigan does. If they, how long are they gonna suspend them?
Well, I think the NCAA may issue a suspension too.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that is something you cannot have from a leader of a team.
Mm-hmm.
Because you saw that after that happened, after he punched him, the players started going nuts and punching each other. And that is just something that the NCAA does not want to see.
Yeah, they can't have that.
I wouldn't be surprised if Juwan Howard doesn't coach for the rest of the year. Between the NCAA suspensions and, whatever Michigan decides to give him. Maybe Greg Gard gets a 1-game suspension, because he did grab his shirt too. So he did have a part in it, but, he'll be back. But Juwan Howard, I don't know. That was assault. I mean,
I don't know if he'll be back this season.
I honestly don't know if he'll be back at all, really. I mean,
it depends. It depends on how, obviously how extensive the suspension or ban is. Michigan, very prestigious university. They're very on top of this sort of stuff. So that's why it would shock me if he was to be banned from coaching the team. But he's such a icon of that university, especially with basketball and the Fab Five. If they pulled a Bobby Knight on him and made him stay away from the program forever, I think that'd be a little harsh.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, he did slap the hell out of this one guy. So
I mean, the guy seemed to be fine. I don't think he has any injuries. I haven't heard anything, but
it's just a nice little boys being boys slap.
I mean, my predictions, I don't know. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's madness. It's March Madness. You don't know who's going to win. Gonzaga is the 1 seed. They always seem to choke. So I don't think they are a favorite. Arizona always seems to choke, but this team does seem a little different this year. I don't know if it's the coaching change or just the mindset of the team, but, we did say that with the Packers, and they obviously lost in the first round. So I'm not expecting a whole lot out of Arizona. I am going to wear my jacket every game they play in the Pac-12 tournament and the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to use it all up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Auburn seems like a team that could potentially make a run, even though they're kind of a little bit cold here recently, but I think they could get back. And, obviously the other one seed, Kansas, Purdue, Kentucky, those are, I think, the teams that you may see go on a run. Purdue seems to choke as well. But, Kentucky, I think you said Baylor, obviously, they could win. They are obviously favorite for back-to-back. They got a really good squad over there. Texas Tech, honestly, is one of my favorites to win the title. I watched them play Texas on Saturday.
That was awesome.
That was such a fun game. I think Texas is a little bit overrated, but Texas Tech is really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their fans invaded Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw a thing, so many Texas Tech fans went to Austin and went to that game that they had to like kick out some of the students from Texas because Texas Tech fans bought the tickets. So, like you actually have to give the people that bought the tickets their ticket. And that is just wild Big 12 basketball showing.
I mean, Mark Adams, the coach for Texas Tech, he's been at Texas Tech for a long time, and he's finally getting the chance to lead the team, that he played for.
And Chris Beard, was Texas Tech's coach. He's the one that really got him to the spot that they're in, really.
Yeah, that's true. Mark Adams, though, he's had a phenomenal season. I think he surprised a lot of people. He was kind of just supposed to be like an interim coach, but I think if he wants to, he may get the reins here at the program, and I wouldn't be shocked. They got a really, really good team, and I think they are a team that you may want to watch out for in March. Along with Illinois, honestly. I watched them too. They had a bad loss to Rutgers. Rutgers
fighting Shianos of basketball.
Yeah, wild. They had 4 straight ranked wins. Obviously that streak came to an end. They lost to Purdue yesterday, but Illinois, another team that I think, they got just a really complete team overall. They got Kofi Coburn, how the announcer say his name anyway.
Cockburn.
Yeah. They got him in the paint. He is a freak of a basketball player. Kind of like the Joel Embiid of college basketball, I would honestly say. They got, what's his name?
Frazier.
Trent Frazier, yeah, the veteran of the team.
Mm-hmm. He's been there forever.
Cabello. I think Andre Cabello is a little bit overrated, but he's still a big name,
Yeah, I think one reason why Illinois, as much as I hate to say it, could go on a run is they're kind of looking for, something to make up for what they did last year because they were supposed to go all the way last year. I had them going to the Final Four last year, and they just got stumped by the Zone,
Loyola Chicago.
And,
Jacob Grandison is another player that's really, really good for Illinois. I mean, they are just a complete team. They got the post game with Kofi. They got a lot of shooters on the outside. I don't even know how Arizona beat them, honestly, because we had so many turnovers against them, and they made so many 3-pointers, and we somehow won. So that Illinois looked really impressive this year.
I think, well, you were just saying, I can't believe, Arizona beat them. I think Illinois is playing much better now than they were earlier in the year, and I think that has something to do with it. Not knocking Arizona because they're also playing better as the year's gone on, but that's just one thing that I think is true, is that they're just playing better as of late.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Obviously, some of the Horizon Conference tournament, the Ohio Valley Conference tournament are some of the first ones that get completed, and they start next week. The February 28th week of that. That's when, and obviously every conference tournament winner gets an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. So those are obviously important to keep an eye out for, even though it is Horizon Conference, with teams like Cleveland State and Wright State.
Punch your ticket.
Yeah, Oakland, some of those teams that maybe college basketball non-enthusiasts wouldn't know. But, Ohio Valley is going to be fun because they got Murray State. They've only had 2 losses all year, one of them to Auburn. They're ranked 19th in the nation right now. They are looking to get a 5 or 6 seed in the tournament, which would be incredible for a team in their conference. Belmont is another name out of the Ohio Valley. So those are some of the, they start next week. This is the last full week where all the teams are in the regular season.
Yep.
Obviously, the bigger conferences like the Big 12, Pac-12, all of them, they will be the following week. That's when their tournaments will be. The SEC as well.
Yep, another big matchup, UNC versus Duke, coming up on the weekend again. This last time Duke will play UNC with Coach K at the helm, at home with the Cameron Crazies at Cameron Indoor. So that will probably be pretty special.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
It'll be rocking, as much as I hate to say it. Duke, pretty hot right now, so it wouldn't shock me if they dominate North Carolina. To say that, I would not be shocked if it's like a 20-point win for Duke.
Yeah, Duke's an interesting team. I don't know how to feel about them. I think they could go on a run, but they also could just have a stinker of a game and lose early on. So I'll probably pick them like Elite 8, maybe Sweet 16.
Elite 8.
Sweet 16.
It's not rude if you pick them to go that far.
Exactly.
That's pretty much it for the college basketball.
Yeah.
Moving into segments.
I think we can skip the All-Star game. Obviously, the All-Star game for the NBA and their events were this weekend. Team LeBron won on a walk-off.
Yeah.
The LeBron GOAT shirt is what I have on right now. Obviously hitting the game winner in Cleveland, of all places, was pretty cool. Yeah. Steph Curry wins the Kobe Bryant All-Star MVP award, the first one with the new revamped trophy.
Yeah, 16. Steph had 16 three-pointers and like 50 points.
Yeah.
So only one shot that wasn't a three.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Like you just said, LeBron's teams are now 5-0 in All-Stars. Neither me or Luke watched this game, so you're welcome.
I mean, I've never watched an NBA All-Star game in my life.
I actually have. One thing that was weird this year is they have like some weird rules. Like the fourth quarter, it's not even really a quarter. It's like
I kind of like that though, because
like the first to like 163 or something like that.
Well, it's whoever the winning team is, it's basically the first to score 24 points
in the last quarter, and it's untimed.
Yeah,
the last quarter was like untimed. It was weird. Also, there was that awkward moment between Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, where it's like Ray Allen like went to like they were like announcing them for the 75th. Top whatever players or whatever, and he went to go shake LeBron's hand, and Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce just looked like the most awkward state ever. It's like
he's LeBron. Eye contact.
Yeah, he's LeBron's boy now, not Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce's boy anymore. That was pretty funny.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's enough NBA All-Star break talk.
Dunk contests overrated. It's gone downhill since Aaron Gordon is gone and Zach LaVine. Yeah, that's about it. We also had a center win the NBA three-point shooting contest.
Welcome to a new era.
Yeah, that is – I mean, granted, Karl-Anthony Towns is one of the best shooting centers in the league, but that was still very weird to see a center of all positions.
He had his mom with him,
7-foot big man.
He had his mom with him. I don't know if you saw that.
She died of COVID.
Yeah, she died of COVID, and he had that like necklace thing. Yeah, they don't let anybody wear jewelry during the All-Star game, and they let him wear that, which I thought was pretty cool by Adam Silver in the NBA.
Mm-hmm. All right, you want to move into segments here?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, so we do in tough scene of the week here first.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is kind of fun. So basically, there's a segment, tough scene of the week, and me and Cam will both pick one thing that we have that was a tough scene in this past week. So I guess I can go first. My tough scene of the week is Matthew Stafford. So if you haven't seen it, during the Super Bowl parade, Matthew Stafford and his wife, Kelly, were talking to a photographer close to the end of the stage. And the photographer, I guess, took a step back, and there was no stage left to step back onto. So she fell off and ended up breaking her spine, actually, her spinal bone. But in the video, she falls off the stage. Matthew Stafford looks at her, turns away and starts walking away from it. And then, obviously drinking his water too. Hilarious moment, but very much a tough scene. And she did break her spine and he just, walked away. Very classy though. He is paying for all the medical stuff, which is A little questionable now because, obviously the Twitter stuff that
Yeah.
people dug into the photographer, her Twitter account, and
found some
found a lot of
maybe
racial
racist,
slurs.
maybe
Yeah.
racist. But
Well, granted, it was
like 10 years ago, pretty
10
much.
years ago. So
I think another thing to point out with your tough scene is Stafford received a ton of backlash for just walking away.
yeah, it was
People
so
hating
funny,
on him from every corner of the internet, saying that this guy is this guy is that for not helping her. But what is he even supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know?
It was such a funny video, though. Just her falling off the stage and just like turning away and just walking. So funny. It made me laugh. So, but still a tough scene for Matt Stafford. Because of the backlash.
All right. So my tough scene of the week. So I was in the hot tub after school on Wednesday. I was recuperating my body because leg day was Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
It was very nice outside, if you remember. But it was very windy on Wednesday.
About 60 degrees.
Yeah. Very windy, though. So I was in the hot tub. The hot tub cover was only half off, and the hot tub is a square. So, the cover's half on, and I'm in the other half. And so basically what happened was it was so windy that the cover blew back on top of me, and I stopped it with my hand. And because I stopped it with my hand like a beast, I sprained my goddamn wrist in the process. And it didn't hurt much at first, and I was in shock. It's kind of an adrenaline thing because I had to stand up and quickly catch the hot tub cover, but it was at an angle, my wrist was, and it did something, and it really pushed it in and stuff like that. And so, like I said, it didn't hurt much at first. Oh my God, that Thursday morning. And until this day, it hurts to drive. It hurts to twist my wrist. And it was pretty swollen. Luckily, some of the swollen has gone down, but it still hurts super bad.
I actually just got over a sprained wrist.
Really?
I've had it for about 2 months now. Yeah, so
sounds horrible.
I was playing mat ball, obviously. And I was running to one of the bases. I don't remember which one it was. And my foot, I was reaching out with my foot because it was going to be a close play. And my foot actually slid under the mat. And I got, my momentum was still going forward. I got tripped up, slammed head first into a wall. But my wrist, whenever I hit my head, I fell down on my wrist like this.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any concussion or anything, but my wrist was jammed all the way back whenever I fell on it. And so it hurt for a long time. And I actually just got over it. It hurt to do things. Obviously, it's my left wrist, so it wasn't as important.
Yeah, same with mine. It's my left one. But, when you're backing up in your car and stuff like that, you have to use your left hand to turn the wheel and whatnot. And because you're using your other arm to look back, that hurts so bad. And it's just also all kinds of little things, even setting up this table was hard to do with my left hand because you can only do it only can reach out to a certain extent. And if you twist it to the left, it hurts so bad. Another tough scene, this is my other tough scene. Russian commanders were given the green light to invade Ukraine. So this could lead to all sorts of annoying stuff, even in the United States, not only as a country getting invaded in the year 2022, but we could see other things happen like gas going up and whatnot. So thanks, Putin.
Yeah, thank you, Putin. You also pay your athletes to take PEDs in the Olympics and cheat. And then, obviously, when they're off the PEDs, they get fourth place. So, very tough scene by Russia in general. I have another tough scene. The St. Louis Blues on Thursday night went into Montreal, played the Canadiens, had a record of 8-40. They were the worst team in the league, not by far because the Coyotes are also in the league. And they had a 2-1 lead. And with 8 seconds left, they give up a goal.
Yep.
8 seconds left. So we go to overtime. Took about 2 minutes. Canadians score. Blues lose to the worst team in the league. Very tough scene, honestly. Obviously, they did bounce back on Saturday with a big win over Toronto. But, yeah, very tough scene to see, going into Montreal and losing to the worst team in the league, especially when you're fighting for playoff seeding right now.
Yeah.
So,
which they will be in the playoffs, I think. But
yeah, I think unless we just have an ultimate collapse.
Yeah.
We should be in the postseason. But whether it's as a wild card team or a division team, could be, right now we're a division
up in the
team,
air.
Yeah, up in the air for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, those are my tough scenes.
Yeah. So that's tough scene of the week. Luke's got us into the next segment as well.
Yeah, this is one that we actually just made up, but we both like the idea, so I think we're going to roll with it. So it's a say hello and kiss it goodbye. So one thing that I guess we're welcoming into the world, or something that is just brought to attention in the world.
New to us, maybe.
Yeah, say hello, something like that. And then the kiss it goodbye is something that is leaving or on the downfall or something like that. So my say hello is gymnastics. I went and saw a gymnastics meet yesterday, and you guys are going to make fun of me for this because it was a tri meet, I guess. It was
Arkansas, LSU, and Mizzou, right?
Arkansas, LSU, and Mizzou. Yeah, it was at the Harns Arena at Mizzou, which is actually the first time I've been in the Harns Arena.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen a wrestling meet or anything there. So it was very cool. I do recommend it. We had pretty good seats, so we got to see a lot of they have like 4 different things set up. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I'm not a gymnastics enthusiast, so I don't really know what they are.
But and whatnot.
It was wild because whenever you see athletes of like that caliber, like just competing, it's so wild to see. Like just doing all these flips and stuff. Like it doesn't seem like it's real. Yeah. I mean, obviously, the reason I went was because LSU has the gymnast Livy Dunn. I've been following her for years and years. So I met someone up there at Mizzou that I knew. He's also been doing the same thing. So we watched it together. Member of the Antlers as well. I got to meet a new member of the Antlers while I was up there. So it was a very fun atmosphere. The arena was packed.
Yeah, I saw the crowd. I was like, holy moly. I know it's SEC Gymnastics is like the biggest gymnastics conference for the SEC is. But I was still shocked that there's that many people. It's probably because not only was it LSU, they're really good coming to Mizzou, but also Arkansas is not very far from Columbia.
Yeah, Arkansas had a student section there. LSU had a little bit of a fan section as well. Obviously, the main arena was Mizzou. I was rooting for Mizzou, while also watching, the other schools as well. But Mizzou pulled off the upset. They beat both Arkansas and LSU. So that was very cool to see. I think Mizzou was ranked 11th, I want to say. So they'll obviously move up. But the PA announcer, I don't remember his name, but I saw his tweet on Twitter and I replied to it because he was like, my voice is shot. And you know why? It's because he had so much enthusiasm. Like when he was announcing the winners, like they announced the highest scores from each team and each like event or whatever. And at the end, he was like, from Missouri, going on like that. And it made it electric, honestly, at the end. It was, I hate to say that, it's gymnastics, but it was fun. I would go back and watch another one. Obviously, I wouldn't go like every weekend and watch it, but I would definitely go back and watch another one. It was fun, Yeah. I didn't get a picture with Livy either, even though I did let fans on. On the mat at the end. Yeah, I just had to pee so bad because I was holding it in the whole meet because there's not like a halftime or
rookie mistake.
And so after it was over, I was like, I got to find a bathroom. It took me like 10 minutes to find a bathroom. And I finally did. And I went and then I came back out and I was looking and most of like the gymnasts were gone. They went to the locker room. So I was like, I think I might have missed my chance, but I do have the ticket. So maybe an autograph one day, but I don't know. But it was, a very fun atmosphere.
All right. That's a good one. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Mine is much more simpler. Hello to a world without football. A very gross, terrible world. Although March Madness is coming up, but just as me, I'm a huge football guy. It's just sad to see it's like 200 days away. I also don't think it's a coincidence that countries around the world are literally going to war because there's no more football left to watch. So just keep that in mind, Roger, when you're thinking about extending the season.
I think that you're missing out because the USFL starts in a few weeks as well as the XFL. So football will be back soon.
Yeah.
It's just not,
it's just
high
not
tier.
the NFL or college football.
Yeah. That is a weird sound. That is a weird sound. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
All right. My kiss of goodbye is money. Because not only do I have no money anymore, I'm broke. I spent $8 on a ticket to the thing yesterday, and then I filled up with gas on my way back. So I have no money left. I broke
$8 for a ticket.
Yeah. Apparently, usually it's $3. For some reason, it was $5 more for this one. I think we all know the reason why, but yeah. But another reason why money is kissing goodbye is because LeBron doesn't care about it anymore. In a statement, he said, "I'm going to stay in the league to play with my son." And he said, "I will do whatever it takes to get on the same team, and it doesn't matter the money." So you may be looking at a team getting LeBron for maybe like $1 million contract.
I don't know if it would be that little, but maybe. Anything to play with Bronny, he said. So we'll see. But
yeah,
he did say that money is not a factor when it comes in terms of trying to play with his son, which it's really cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Bronny, obviously he's not like a first-round pick anymore, but he still has the ability. I mean, he's got LeBron James genes in him, so he's got the ability to be a very good basketball player, I think.
Yeah. He's only a junior in high school, but I was looking at it yesterday. He's only a 4-star, and he's not even the best player in California. He's the 4th best player in California right now. He's like a shooting guard, combo guard kind of guy right now. Only 6'3", which you might be thinking only 6'3", but in the NBA, that's how tall Steph Curry is. So, maybe he'll keep growing because, like I said, he's only 17. But his best path to, making it to an NBA team is probably not going to college and going to the G League if he wants to get to the NBA in the next 3 years to, help his dad maybe not be torn apart, his body holding on for 3 more years. Because, a lot of times 4-stars, they're great high school players and whatnot, but once you get to high-level schools like Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, Michigan, or whatever, 4-stars, you come to find out, that these guys are probably actually going to be in college for 2 to 3 years. It takes a little time to develop. They're not, a team's not going to waste a draft pick on them just yet because they just haven't shown enough. That's why I think the G League is probably his best bet, because they'll be able to develop a little bit more quickly.
Yeah.
And he'll already be in the NBA organization. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that LeBron saying he wants to play with Bronny may have an impact on Bronny's career because he may be rushed into the league for those reasons, and he may not get the proper development, and therefore he may be rushed out of the league quicker than he might if. So, I think
it's so hard to say. He's 17,
Yeah, we don't know a lot yet. Yeah. It'll be interesting, though, but expect to see LeBron and Bronny play in the same uniform at some point. Maybe the Thunder. They have so many first-round picks. It may be Oklahoma City.
Yeah, they could definitely just waste one year and draft Bronny.
Yeah, just for sure. You know what? Just to get LeBron here, let's just draft his son. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My kiss it goodbye. I mentioned this last week. Goodbye, Dr. Pepper. I already miss you a lot. Today marks 1 week for me without soda in general, including Dr. Pepper. The caffeine headaches, I talked about them last week, have actually been pretty mild, except yesterday. I had one yesterday that was brutal. But yeah, caffeine headaches, not too bad. Dr. Pepper, I do miss it though.
I mean, I don't. I'm drinking one. I just finished it right now, so probably tempting you a little bit here, but yeah, I mean, pretty long episode that we've had so far. So not as long as last week, but I think it's more of a listenable episode.
Yeah,
you can listen to it in one sitting.
Episode.
Yeah.
And if you made it this far, thank you. If you watch it on YouTube, we may have video.
Oh yeah, the camera right there. If you're on YouTube, I'm waving at it right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first video we had, it was just our logo for 45 minutes straight. I haven't even uploaded the episode 2 yet, but it'll probably just be a black screen because I don't feel like putting on something. But we did decide to record a video this time, so it's not like super high quality or anything, but it'll give something, like where you can like see us talk and like look and do all that stuff. So it might give more of an interactive feel. So make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube. Even if you don't watch the videos, make sure you subscribe. And follow us on Twitter too, at the Show Me Show Pod.
Yeah. Show Me Show Pod. And that literally posts all the links to everything wherever you're listening, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or when we post it on YouTube. And you'll also just see us tweet some stuff sports related.
Yeah. Maybe a few polls, maybe that we can interact with. And follow us on Instagram too. We have created an Instagram, but if you don't have Twitter, then you could follow us on Instagram. Also posting the links in the comments of a post. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Wrap up. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you for listening to episode 3 of the Show Me Show Pod. We will see you next week for episode 4.
Yeah. Send you out with some music here.